Good morning, welcome to Planet Mojo. Today I'm going to begin the mudding and miscellaneous in the downstairs of the barn. We have zero snow out here, not even in the hollows. It's been warm enough to melt it, but it's actually really cold out there today. Okay, so we have the drywall on 3 of the walls, and my plan is to start mudding this, like get a coat of mud on, and then while that's drying, work on getting this wall framed. I'm not exactly sure how long this is going to take. I got to cut studs for this, so I don't know. I'm hoping they take about the same amount of time. So what I plan to do today, I'm just going to clear out this miscellaneous scrap drywall, get all that stuff out of here, and get the area cleaned up. And I'll get all of the mudding stuff. The mudding stuff is waiting over in the garage area. I'll get that back over here. And when it's all ready to go for tomorrow, what I'm going to do is go do the drawings for the studs on this wall. I have it on the computer, but I don't have any drawings yet. And I'm going to need them to get that done. So... oh, and also, once I get everything over here, I'm going to throw a bit of mud in these 2 corners here, just the 2 corners, and I'm going to allow that to dry overnight because it's such a big area. I'll just put it in at like a 45-degree angle in there, and then that'll be dry by morning. I'll add another coat to it, and I'll move ahead checking all of my screws. You take your knife and go over it. It gets rid of any excess paper, and if you hear a little ting, that means you have to put the screw in a little further. These all appear right, but you're going to find one here and there, and if you just go at it with mud, you'll scrape it and then see part of the screw there, and then you gotta drive that screw in while you're mudding, and I don't want to do that. So to begin with, let's just get this place cleared out, and then we'll move ahead from there. Okay, got the place nice and cleaned up. It sure looks nice with the drywall on the walls. It's going to look even nicer once all these screws are filled up. And I got the stuff to do that right here. I thought I was bringing over the last of the joint compound from when we drywalled upstairs, but that is fertilizer. No problem. I believe this is drywall or joint compound right here. Hopefully it's good. If it's good, I'm going to put that quick coat in the corners. If it's not, I have a brand new tub, so I'll just go get that and we'll do it. I spent probably an hour or an hour and a half getting dimensions for the ladder system that's going to work here. I'm going to do that on my woodworking channel. I'm going to design it and build it on the woodworking channel, so we're not going to go into a whole lot of that right here, but I got 2 of these little notebook pages of dimensions, and I'm going to start on that today, and every day I'm going to kind of refine it until we get to it. And the reason I had to do that is because I'm going to need blocking in the walls to mount the hinges for the top, and there's going to be a catch somewhere down here, and I'm going to need blocking in the wall. I don't want that going right onto drywall. Okay, so this is what I'm going to be doing the rest of the day. I have to make drawings for the framing that's going to go on this wall here. The framing is going to be 2 inches deep, and well, yeah, in some places it's going to be screwed through the stud into a stud on the other side, but in some places it's not going to line up with the stud, and it'll be screwed from the other side into the stud. So it's a little complicated how I got to put this up, but the wall itself isn't going to be super complicated. Well, I guess once you get up there, what I'm going to do, that wall is going to butt into the bottom of this collar tie. And where it does that, I'm going to have a built-in shelf up there. And then above that, the wall goes back to that same depth. That's going to get a little complicated up there, but it's not going to be that bad. So we'll go make these drawings, and then we'll come back tomorrow and get the wood cut for this, or at least part of it. Mud first, and then come work on this. We got a bunch of stuff to cut off with the cutoff wheel here. Lots of nails and miscellaneous. So we're going to go back and forth between mudding and this wall, and by the time we're done, or by the time we're done mudding this and getting that wall done, we should be getting close to being able to put the drywall on this. And then we'll drywall this and work our way through the wall and get this wall here drywalled at that time. We also have that thermostat and that switch to mount on this side of the wall and somewhere right in here. And we have this smoke alarm. We need another 3-wire to go through there and into this new framing on this side of the wall, and then up to a box up there. I had that stuff right here, but we have a shallow box that's going to go up there. It is kind of complicated, all the stuff that has to go on here, but in reality it's nowhere near as complicated as the stuff that went before. So let's wrap up here, go get those drawings done, and then we'll come back tomorrow and get to mudding and making that partition wall. Okay, I'm going to start mudding now, and these are the 3 tools I use. This nice stiff scraper. I go over every one of the holes with this. Most of them are going to be good. And then these in the corner are going to have a little bit of paper hanging because they're screwed at an angle. And I want to get rid of stuff like this if possible as well, where the paper's bulged out. This is going to get taped and mudded, but the less things that are in the way, the better. Push it back a little bit. So I'm going to go over every one of these. I'll come back when I find, oh, right here. These 2 screws hit something. So I scrape that stuff off of them and then take the back of a screwdriver, anything rounded like that'll work, and I press that in, get a dimple on it. That way when I go over that with the mud, it'll sand up nice and smooth. Okay, I don't have to be real picky about the ones on a seam, but I still don't want this paper hanging off like that. So We'll get that scraped off as well, like that. And if it tears like that, does not matter. We just don't want the bulges there. And again, I'm going to go all the way around the room. And if I don't find anything unusual, I will meet you back on the other side over there. One thing I should note is that this room is going to get full-size Craftsman molding on it. So the base molding is going to go way up to here. And I'm not 100% sure yet, but there's either going to be a crown molding or some a little bit lesser molding up at the top as well. So none of these screw holes are going to show in the end. So I'm not going to fill any of the bottom ones. But the rest of these, yes, I will. And I'll fill all of the top ones. We're going to have a 3/4 inch ceiling coming up to right in here somewhere. And if I put just a 1/4 round molding under that, some of these screws are going to show. So I'll just do all of the upper ones, but I won't be doing any of the lower ones. Yeah, this goes fairly quick. Right, I don't need to do the corners, and I don't need to do around the door either. Around the door, we're going to have a pretty big casing. So when you do these holes, you want to go from 2 directions, and hopefully they'll fill completely. You may have to go a 3rd time, but I've never been able to get them 100% filled on the first pass. I always have to go on a 2nd pass. So if you can do it, more power to you. After a while, I get the swing of it, and I can normally do this in 2 passes, but I go so long between drywalling that I get out of practice. I did this a whole lot when I was younger. But not so much lately. I think the most recent thing I drywalled was the breezeway over at the house. I'll link to that if you want to see it. The job came out perfect, but like I said, when you don't do this daily, it takes you a bit longer, but if you know what you're doing, the end result will be pretty darn nice. Yeah, some of these holes just don't want to fill correctly, but once this dries, you go over it with a knife again, and it gets rid of any little flakes that you got there and smooths it even with the surface of the drywall. And then you give it one quick or another quick pass, and it's done. All right, I got a bit to do here. All right, now I'm going to switch knives to the 6-inch knife. And I'm going to tape these seams. And what I want to do is go sideways and mash it in and leave enough compound on there to embed the tape into it. And it's not going to take a whole lot to do that, but definitely has to be wide enough. Now I'm going to embed the tape, press it in there nice and firmly, but you don't want to squeeze out all of the joint compound. Now, I cover the tape. Oop. Now this is the step that takes practice that I don't really have. You want to press out here and kind of taper it towards the middle. After you've been doing this for a while, you can do it really quick, but I don't think that's going to happen today. What you're doing is trying to leave the joint compound just on the tape and not onto the walls. I'm not doing a great job here. It was better when I started. I'm getting little specks of stuff in my mud. Got dirty mud. And it's messing up my strokes here. And the more times you stroke it, the worse off it's going to be. If you can do it in just a couple strokes, you can get it perfect. If you do perfect strokes, which I am definitely not doing. All right, I'm gonna leave well enough alone on this one and jump over to the next. Definitely not my best work. Okay, I'm gonna start working on this one. Okay, I got those two joints taped and I still have these two to do. I went and got my new mud because this stuff is pretty old and it's got a few chunks in it. So I'm still gonna use the rest of this, but I'll need more than what's in there and have to dip into this. When I got back from lunch, I cut this piece, kind of been putting it off, and I have my tape ready. This has a tapered joint on both sides here, and then the piece in the middle would be like a butt joint. So what I have to do is just barely get any mud on this side and then fill this side in. And then we're gonna kind of do like we did on there, but it's gonna be thinner on this side. Kind of hard to explain. In the end, yeah, you could see how much of a difference that is. This whole area up here needs to be as flat as possible because we have big Craftsman molding going on top of here. I'm probably gonna have to modify it so that the molding above the door works with the crown molding that I'm going to use. And again, as a crown molding, I will probably have to use a quarter round instead of an actual crown molding. Okay, let's get this one and these two mudded. It's already after 2 o'clock, so I'm probably going to be pushing quitting time before I get this mudded. And we'll have to turn the heater back on. I had to turn that off because it's like a sauna in here. You wouldn't think that that's a lot of moisture just from filling these screw holes and taping a couple joints there, but the humidity in here is insane. And we don't want to let any cold air in, let the humidity out and let cold air in. So we'll just have to deal with it. All right, I'll get that done real quick and then we'll jump on to this stuff. Okay, that's going to wrap up day one of mudding and miscellaneous. I have the first coat of mud on the screw holes and on the seams. I think I'm a little bit thin on this one, and like this right here. That ridge, that'll just come right off with the knife. A little better on that one. That one's okay, but I have two different kinds of mud on here, so it looks kind of weird. The +3 is very gray, and this new stuff, I thought I'd try this out. This is CertainTeed Extra Light All-Purpose. This stuff seems to be a little bit stiffer than +3, and it's very white. This joint right here is almost all this new stuff. It actually looks a little grayer now than when it went on, but I think I probably did the best on this one, which would make sense. You start here, work your way around, and by the time you're good at it, you're done. All right, so like I said, I'll come back and run the knife over this stuff, and that'll pop off all of this little stuff like that, and then anything that's bulging out of the screw holes, it'll just take it right off. Then you go back and put another coat on. I think with the corners, I'm just going to let them keep drying. I have quite a bit of framing to do, so tomorrow I'll get this mudded real quick. The mudding should take the morning, and then in the afternoon, I'll probably be cutting most of the afternoon. I'll be getting the stuff for this cut up. I have a whole bunch of blocking in here. I have to block for the thermostat. I figured out the location of that with the built-in stairway that I'm going to make. And I have a bunch of blocking at the top for the hardware. And as we've talked about several times, I have that wall that's going on the other side of this wall that's about, well, not about, it's 2 inches wide. So we're going to be 6 inches total on this wall, and this will get drywalled. We'll just have a corner bead right there. The rest of the room, like I said, is getting Craftsman molding. It's going to look really, really cool in here. Okay, so stick around for day 2. Make sure you subscribe and click on the update icon. If you have any questions or comments, make sure you put them in the comment section below. And if you share the video and or give it a like, it helps the channel out greatly. Thanks for watching and have a great day.